Fantastic. And we are live. You are up, Kim.
Jamia raised her hand. Should I hit view or are you going to do that? Hi, Jamia. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Okay, so listen, I'm just going to go because Rachel is definitely more well-versed at this than me. This is actually my first time really hosting and sharing my screen and doing all that kind of stuff like that. So I'm not sure who's officially in here yet, but we are recording. If you don't feel comfortable having your camera on, you're welcome to keep it off. We're going to have a Q&A at the end. I am Kim Hill, in case you didn't know, and I am here with the beautiful Rachel Jensen of Luna Realty. And so I just kind of want to start off, for those of you that know me, some of y'all are family, have known me for many, many years. I come from a history of music. I transitioned from Los Angeles to Brooklyn in 2011, really 2010. And I started doing real estate in 2012. I have not really spoken a lot about my practice, not because I was being elusive or secretive. It's just most of the people that I was in service of were people who were in a certain they had a financial ceiling. And I never wanted to bring them on camera or talk about too much of that work because I didn't want it to feel, like they were being exploited. In the December 8th issue of the New York Times Magazine, they did a feature on me about my furniture design work. And it was the first time that I spoke candidly about my real estate journey, and they included it in the article. So it was like, all right, well, I guess it's time to really talk about it. And that was around the same time that I had an opportunity to go to Belize and explore some opportunities to do some real estate, some land banking, kind of see what Belize had to offer after being there in 2012 and feeling the same kind of nudge, actually around the same time I started doing real estate. Now, within the time the article came out or just prior to it and me actually going, I went on a deep dive into Belize. And I happened to fall into the algorithm of Luna Realty. And it's like, I really like this woman. I feel like she's, kind of speaking my language. I think that she's really, integral and just comes from a good place. And my practice has always been about, um, you know, most of us, even if we're moving into rural cities, we are gentrifiers. Even if we are people of color, if we are Black, we are able to pay rent. The most people that have been there since the 1900s, the 20s, their grandmothers and great grandmothers were not able to pay. So that alone puts you kind of in the gentrifier category. However, there's a way to be responsible, there's a way to be respectful, and there's a way to not usurp all of the resources, right? I mean, if somebody that lived in Brooklyn 20 years ago told you that there was no street cleaning until white women started moving in with their strollers and their smoothies, there's a reason for that. So there's a way to share space and community with people without gouging or pushing out. And there are some things we just don't have control over. So in the same way I ran my and continue to run my real estate practice is what I am going to be doing when I am starting what I'm doing in Belize. And I felt like Rachel really got that. So I'm going to let her talk about her wonderful journey because you're going to love it and you're going to understand why we are here. But I just want to take a quick second to kind of shout out that I have officially made Kim Possible Living, which I've been thinking about for many, many years. I've done real estate under Alchemist Properties, which is my LLC, but the lifestyle brand is, what I've been doing with respect to art, culture, and real estate for years. So when people look at me and they're like, well, how do you do it? How are you happy? How did you buy this house? How do you have chickens in Newark? It really is a lifestyle. And I want to be able to bring that and carry that through um, as I continue to do this work and explore opportunities for myself and for others in Belize. So let's go through this really, really quickly. I can share this deck with you all, but this is a deck that a wonderful friend put together for me. I did not come up with this slogan, and Rachel will talk about this in more depth, but Belize has kind of a theme of the path to progress. And I saw that with my eyes. I saw that in a lot of the content that I was exploring prior to going to Belize, and I absolutely felt it there. And so the question is, how do we, especially as marginalized people, Black people, folks of color, that often find out about um, uh, these spaces after they've already had a lot of money come in and resources come in, and we're kind of the last to know? How can we participate, get a piece of it, as it's on the path to progress before it's actually there, which is what we've seen in like Tulum, we've seen in Costa Rica, we've seen in a lot of other places where folks were really there and it's very difficult to get in. So we're going to get into that. Look at my legs, they're amazing. My mother wanted to know where my pants were. She might be on this Zoom. I made a choice. I've been working out, and I am happy to say at 54, this is the result. So the legs are out, and a little Alice Olivia cape with a white bow. And again, Kim Possible Living, art, design, real estate. These were some pictures that didn't make it into New York Times, but this talks about Kim Possible Living and Belize. This is my home here in Newark, New Jersey, where in 2020 I had a designed that chicken coop. That's some of my hand woven furniture that's been commissioned by Derek Adams, that's been in Bloomingdale's. And it's really the culmination of what women, especially my age, kind of coalesce and pull together these life experiences to be that. Yes, I'm in some Chanel heels and chicken poop outside of my house. Now, mind you, I live in Newark, New Jersey. I have a 4,500 square foot property, and so it's really also showing people this idea that you can buy small and you can think big. You don't need a lot of space to do the things that you need to do. These are some of the things that are going to be important to me, and we'll talk about that, which really aligns with Belize sustainability, how incredible they are with making their homes hurricane proof. The agroforestry and agriculture, you're not going to find a place with soil as robust and full of mineral and life. And Rachel will get into that more. She will talk to you about owner financing, which is amazing, land banking, and how amazing the property taxes are. Again, we're going to go through this quickly. These are some of the things. There's a video that is not going to be able to click here, but a lot of the properties are 50 by 100, which ends up being about 5,000 square feet, kind of similar to what I have here in Newark, and 100 by 100. This idea of buying really, really big and 20 acres might overwhelm you. So just kind of get in where you can fit in. Okay, these are some of the things we're going to be seeing. So again, if this is something you're interested in, I can absolutely send you the deck, but I want to turn it over to Rachel. Let me give you a quick synergistic. When I was in Belize, Rachel was already on my mind, and I had been kind of, side-eyeing some of the other folks that are in the real estate space, just being completely transparent. That I wasn't as fond of, but Rachel just kept coming up. So I'm at this hotel, Mata Chica, which is one of, to me, the most beautiful hotels and resorts in the region. And I'm talking to the owner's son, who is the manager, and he says to me that they have just acquired the lot next door, and their broker, Rachel, the question is like, we don't just want to buy this land, but like, what does the area need? What does the land need? What do the people in the region need? And he said her name Rachel, and I go, would it possibly be Rachel of Luna Realty? And he's like, you really have been doing your research. So he picks up his phone. He's like, I'm putting you two in touch. And Rachel did not make it difficult to get on the, but like, she immediately was like, when do you want to get on a Zoom? We talked about this, immediately on board. And I just want to publicly thank you, Rachel, for not making this weird and like I have to chase you down. Y'all, we're so used to doing this in the States. Be the bridge. Be the bridge that people can bless, that link you to other people, because this is a really dire time and we are going to need to build community, and everything doesn't need to be broadcast on social media. And there are some things that should be shared, but just in the quiet spaces, be the person that bridges the gap. So without further ado, Rachel, if you will take over and unshare my screen, because I don't want to.
Oh, of course. Let me get this in full screen here for everyone. Oh, and I love it, Kim. And I know when we were connecting how all the dots in Belize just also started coming together, right? And then you ended
Yeah.
up going to my husband's bar, not even realizing it was his, and then all of the dots just started coming together. And it's true,
Yes.
in Belize, it's a small country, right? Population wise is about 400,000 people. On the island that you're visiting and that we're on, it's even smaller, about 40,000 people. And it's a real small, tight knit community here. And it's something that personally I really love and I enjoy. And that's why I've stayed here over the last 13 years. So when we got connected, when Steven connected us, and he's like, oh, Kim is here, just make sure you talk to her. She's a great lady. And we got connected right away. And you started telling me about your journey, how you ended up in Belize and visiting. And then we even had other connections, right? Like they say 6 degrees of separation. I think in this case, it was like 2 degrees of separation,
It's
where we're
true.
like,
Yeah.
oh, well, we know other people that have either purchased here or are living here or are living in New Jersey, for example. So it was
Yes.
pretty neat to see that all come together. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. I think this is such an exciting topic for me. It is a country that I'm very, very passionate about. I'm from New York originally, but moved down here to Belize in 2012. I had a real estate opportunity with a real estate developer here. I had no experience in real estate, but I Googled Belize when the developer told me where the opportunity was. I Googled Belize and I saw palm trees, Caribbean waters. I'm like, sold, done. I am there. And like, right over the last 13 years, it's absolutely grown quite a bit. And so there it is. 2012, moved to Belize from New York. 2020, I joined the real estate board here because as somebody who was stationed here, living here, and really starting to put my roots down over the last years before that, I saw that there was such a need for standardization here in the real estate industry. In the States, it is so strict. There are so many processes and procedures about what you need to do in order just to get your license, to maintain your real estate license. Here, it's kind of like the Wild West, right? You can come in, you're all of a sudden you're coming to Belize on vacation, and your taxi cab driver is talking to you about real estate. Your bartender is asking if you really like it here and you want to buy a property here and how he can help you. And then all of a sudden, your fishing guide is talking to you about real estate. And so there is no standardization. This is something that we are working on with the current association that's here to get standardization in place, to get licensing in place, just to give everybody the experience that they really truly deserve. In 2022, I left the real estate developer and started my own real estate company. What I ended up seeing is that there were so many opportunities that were starting to come on board here in Belize on Ambergris Caye, more people hearing about the country, that we wanted to be able to help everyone. We wanted to be able to hear what it is that you're looking for, what you want to accomplish, and not just what we had in inventory. And having the real estate brokerage allowed us to do that. And then in 2023, my one of my best friends here, Job, he and I started a podcast, a lifestyle podcast about what it's like to live here in Belize. Job was born in Guatemala, but has been in Belize since a very, very young age. And our editor, Cynthia, she was born and raised here in Belize. And so we give this little perspective about what it's like coming in from a foreigner living here in the country and then also the local. And there are many times that we just have clashing perspectives on things or see things completely different and open each other's eyes to what it's like. So I think it's a really fun podcast to listen to if you're somebody who's trying to understand what it's like to spend time here in Belize. And then in 2023, my husband and I had a baby. He's 14 months at this point, and we're raising him here on the island. And I get the question all the time of would we go back to the States? My partner's Belizean, my husband's Belizean, but for me, that really wasn't a consideration. Would I come back to the States to raise my son here? It's such a beautiful country. It's a beautiful culture. It's so inviting and welcoming. It is so baby and family centric that you go to eat at one of the restaurants, Estelle's on the beach, and you see kids running around on the beach barefoot. You have waitresses who are asking if they can hold your baby while you eat. And that is just never a vibe that I got in the States before when I went and visited my family in New York. In fact, there were times where like maybe we should just order our food to the house because the restaurant is not necessarily very welcoming to young babies. And so we've just experienced a culture, a lifestyle here that I just haven't seen or experienced in the States. And so it's one of the big reasons that keeps me down here and keeps me feeling encouraged that we're doing the right thing by raising our son here. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of insight about Belize, sharing with you what makes it a really special place to visit, understanding why people are deciding to own property in Belize, and then We do have a couple of insider opportunities. I shared a couple of them with Kim as well. Some of them are not yet public. So I'm excited to get those details over to you. But this is a fun place. You're coming in truly at the right time, and we want to be sharing that information with you. So just a quick tidbits for you. English is indeed the official language. So even though we're within Central America, you'll still hear a lot of Spanish, you'll hear a lot of Caribbean Creole, but English is going to be the official language. So you don't have to worry about trying to pick up another language. Population is small, about 400,000. That's for the entire country of Belize. Consider it like a small city in the United States, like New Orleans, for example. That's all we have here in our entire country. Size-wise, the country is about the size of Massachusetts. What you'll also find is that the currency is pegged to the US dollar, so 2 Belize dollars to 1 US dollar. So when you're in the grocery store, for example, and you see a bag of grapes is $11 Belize a pound, you cut that in half and it's $5.50 a pound. Real estate, though, is one of the only things that you'll find priced in US dollars, so don't cut those prices in half because those will be in US. And then this is one of my favorite parts about the country is the culture here. So there are 9 different ethnic groups that make up the country of Belize. And being such a small population of 400,000, everybody coexists and coexists very well. You have a Garifuna population, you have a Mennonite population, you have Chinese, you have Lebanese, you have the North Americans that are coming down and living here. You have the Mayans, it's Latinos, of course. And it's everybody exists, everybody coexists, everybody listens to a lot of the same music, everybody goes to the same bars and restaurants, everyone shops at the same stores. And it's a sort of cohesion that, again, I haven't seen in the States, and actually, quite frankly, is getting a lot worse. Here, you tend to find, doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what your background is, as long as you're a nice, kind person, then you're accepted here in Belize. And it's something that really is important to me, especially as we raise a family here. Now, Belize, we've been seeing on the rise more and more over the last years. I remember when I came down here in 2012, I had no idea where Belize was. I told my family I was going to Belize. They had no idea where Belize was either. Now they're the ones who are reaching out more saying, hey, direct flights just came in from JFK. We'll see you in a couple of months, right? With new direct flights from JFK. There's also Newark coming down with United on the weekends. And then you can see a handful more here. We are seeing an increased number of flights coming direct into the country of Belize. Now, not many, right? We don't have them from all over the United States or all over North America, or none actually from Europe at this point, but we are going to continue seeing that get more and more increased as people continue to want to visit Belize. And like I just mentioned, there are no flights from Europe yet, but I do see that as an absolute game changer for this island and even for the prices of real estate. Once the floodgate opens to Europe, we're going to see a lot more people coming into the country because it's easier and convenient to get here. Right now, Europeans need to either fly through the States or they need to fly through Cancun and then from Cancun come down. So it's not as easy, not as convenient for them. And again, same with the rest of the folks throughout the country. When they have direct flights, it just gets a lot easier and convenient to get here. So we're really at this interesting point in development in Belize. We're not yet plateaued like countries like Costa Rica, but we're not yet, we're not as unpopular as places like Nicaragua, for example. So it really leaves this unique timing to either come down and visit, of course, or if you're thinking one step further, going and looking at real estate. So the country of Belize, like we said, is about the size of Massachusetts, bordering Mexico to the north and then Guatemala over here to the west. Small size of Massachusetts, population-wise of 400,000. However, the country is so incredibly diverse. You're going to find a lot of water activities. We're on the Caribbean over here, so you're going to find a lot of water activities, the snorkeling, diving, just lounging by the pool or the waters is, of course, a favorite pastime for people. In addition to that, on the mainland, you have more of a jungly sort of environment. And Kim mentioned agricultural farmland here in Belize and the rich soil. And you tend to find that in the Cayo district right over here. This Cayo district is where you have some of the best soil in the world. It's the agricultural heartland of the Caribbean, not just Belize, but of the Caribbean right here in the Cayo district. So if you're somebody who's thinking about having your own organic garden or having chickens, I know, Kim, you're mentioning your chickens, having chickens or even having pigs or horses, this is where you tend to find a lot of that activity based. Out here, you also have a very big Mennonite population, which is interesting to folks. A big Mennonite population. When you drive through their town's Spanish lookout, It truly feels like you are back in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where it's the paved, pristine roads, and you have cattle over on this side, you have farms and barns on that side. It just feels like you're back in farmland America, which is really, it's just something really unique and different about that. In addition to that, Belize mainland has a handful of Mayan ruin sites. So right here within the Cayo district, there are a handful, Caracol, Zanantanich is over here. One of the most popular in the entire country is actually here in the Orange Walk district. It's called Lamanai, and you have to take a boat to access it. You'll pull up on a little boat on the river, and it is this whole Mayan world that existed way before we can even think about. And to see it in its really pristine condition is really something that's remarkable. But you do find Mayan ruins throughout the entire country. We do still have a very strong Mayan population here too as well. So again, country is very diverse, a lot of different things going on, just depending on what you like, what's of interest to you. Of course, one of the best things to come to is to do is to come down and visit and see the country, experience Belize. And I think that's what happened with you too, Kim, right? You got down here, you're like, yes, this is it. I love it. I can see it. I feel it. And we're seeing more and more people are starting to feel that same
Yeah.
way. And so when you come to Belize, you'll fly here into Belize City. And then from Belize City, you'll get out to the destinations that you're looking at. So Ambergris Key, for example, is how Kim and I were getting connected through this island over here. It's one of the most popular spots, produces 60%, 60 to 70% of the tourism revenue for the entire country comes from this island of Ambergris Key. And then the other area that's popular in the country is the Cayo district for the jungle trekking, the cave tubing. It's just a very different sort of experience than it is on the Keys. And we have two blue holes here in Belize. So the blue hole up here, this is something that I think a lot of people would identify Belize with. It's a big snorkeling and diving destination in the country. If you can see right over here, this is where the blue hole is located. But then we also have a natural spring in the Cayo district that's, referred to as the blue hole as well. So when you come, make sure you visit both blue holes and get to really experience what Belize looks like. So this quick map over here is going to highlight some of the top places that people are looking at when they're coming to Belize to own real estate or even just looking from a vacation perspective. So that top pin over here, this is the Corazal, where you see the burgundy pin. This is an area that's only 15 minutes away from the Mexican border. Right over here, you tend to see more retirement communities up there. It's really a quiet fishing village, but because of its proximity to Mexico, you tend to find people who want the sort of conveniences that Mexico has. In Belize, we don't have chains. Like we don't have Home Depot, we don't have Walmart, we don't have Target. We don't have any of that. We have one Sombrero actually in Belize City, the pizza joint, like that, and that's it. Right. Other than that, we have a couple of hotels, but other than that, we don't have those big shops that everyone's used to. So if that's something that's really important to you, then you'll be here in the northern part of the country. The Keys. So where you see the light orange pin and the light green pin, that's the orange pin is Ambergris Key, light green is Key Cocker. These keys are the highlight, I would say, of the country. Ambergris Key specifically is where you tend to find a majority of people that are coming for vacation, to relocate, spend time, be snowbirds, whatever that case may look like. We refer to Ambergris Key as the Key West of the country, right? It's not really bougie, or there are some bougie places here, and it's getting, higher end, of course, as the country continues to develop, but it can be as laid back as you want it to be, or it can be as bougie truly as you want it to be. And so we find it's just a unique, interesting vibe here. In addition to that, because we parallel the reef, we parallel the largest living reef in the world, we have a lot of fishing, diving, snorkeling happening within the Keys here. Cayo. Now coming back down to the Cayo district, this is the area we were just talking about with the rich agricultural land. This is where you find the jungles, rivers. You find a lot of really fun wildlife here too, like ocelots and cotamundis. But this is a great area for somebody who's looking for acreage. They want acreage, more space, and they want to be maybe homesteading or something along those lines. Hopkins, this is a fun town. This is a very colorful town. It's a small population, only a few thousand people. It's a small fishing village, but really and truly the people are very colorful. And then also the buildings with the Garifuna population down there. There's always fun music, lively music, and just a very a very good spot to be, but it is a much smaller population. So doesn't necessarily appeal to everybody from a lifestyle perspective if they want something a little bit more lively. And then last but not least is Placencia, this dark blue pin right over here. Placencia, I refer to as like the Hamptons of Belize. This is where you have larger homes, you have larger yachts, boats here, because the reef is about an hour and a half from the coast of Placencia. You're able to get the bigger boats in here. You're not able to get the bigger boats in on the northern part of the country because the reef is literally right outside of your doorstep. So you can't get the bigger boats in, but down in the southern part of the country, you can. So if having a big boat's important to you, then you may want to be in the southern part of the country. However, if that's not necessarily something that's important to you, then you would consider probably up north in the Keys. So something to do, this is what I was talking about before, Lamanai. I mean, it is truly, I mean, it's a village. You're able to walk through this old Mayan town and experience the different structures and get the history and of what really made it what it is. And again, you access this by boat. It's only accessible by boat, which makes the trip even more interesting. I remember the very first time I went there, I was not prepared. Like, you should always just wear closed-toed shoes when you're going to Mayan ruins because you don't know what's going to be around. I was in sandals, and my sandals fell apart. Like, the sole fell off from the bottom. And this was truly right after we got off the boat, right after we got to Lamanai. And the guide was incredible. He's like, "Oh, I have a solution for that." And he picked a plant and he opened it up and he's like, "This is what gum is made out of. This is the base of glue." And he was able to take it, squeeze some of it into the sole of the shoe, snapped it together like that, held it down for a couple of seconds, and the shoe was like new. It was really incredible. But living off of the land is something I think it's so beautiful. And in Belize, they really do, take advantage of that in the most positive way possible. And then cave tubing. So this is probably one of my most favorite experiences that I've done here. You take a big inner tube and you go down the river in this tube. And it's very relaxing. It's enjoyable. I've never done it anywhere else in the world, but you tend to find cave tubing in the Cayo district. That area that I was saying was really rich with agricultural land. Dive the blue hole. You can also snorkel it if you're not a diver. But again, this is one of the most iconic scenes of Belize. So if you're not necessarily diving it or snorkeling it, you can fly over it as well with Tropic or Maya Air, one of the local regional air carriers here, and see it from above, see it from this perspective. Kim, next time you come down, we're going to have to do this because it is probably one of the highlights of my Belize experiences. Just seeing this from above, it's incredible, incredible.
I have the perfect swimsuit and goggles, so I'm ready.
Perfect. Perfect. What's that?
I'm
Fish.
ready.
I love it. Fish the Barrier Reef if you enjoy fishing. Fly fishing is one of the most popular things here. Deep sea fishing as well, but really incredible fishing off of the coast of Belize mainland. You can feed the stingrays. This is on Key Cocker, our neighboring island here at Ambergris Key, but you can feed stingrays, you can feed stinghorse, or you'll see seahorses as well. But marine life, as you're probably noticing, is a very big part of the Belizean culture. Seafood, like crushed seafood, for example, it's something that we have right on demand being here on the islands. Snorkeling, Holchan and Shark Ray Alley, this is a must do when you're on Ambergris Key. You see an incredible amount of marine life, and it's just really, really beautiful. And then of course, visit the not so secret beach. Kim, you went to Secret Beach when you were here, right?
And it is not a secret. I'm going to
No.
tell you right now.
Not at
It's
all.
not a secret.
Not a secret, but it is beautiful. So as you can see here in the pictures, is that turquoise waters. It's shallow water going up to your belly button. You're able to wade out and just really enjoy the environment. But this is from one of my favorite restaurants out there called Blue Bayou, and they have in water dining, as you're seeing here from the pictures. The waiters will come out to you. They'll bring you the menu. They'll serve you out there your drinks and food, whatever you want. And it's just a really fun, unique thing that you don't find in many places. And then just generally, unwinding from life. I think that this is something that is so important for all of us to do, especially those who are in the rat race in the US. A lot of times it's just, it takes a little bit to stop and smell the roses. And when you get to Belize, you'll tend to find it is a slower pace of life, a much slower pace of life. And it's important for you to take a step back and really, appreciate what you have going on. And here we tend to find that happens a lot when people come down. They'll come down, whether it's on their vacation or they're planning to look at property or whatever it is. And they're like, last night was one of the first nights that I actually slept well. We get that all the time. People saying they sleep well here in Belize, or they're feeling better, or they were able to eat food here in Belize that maybe they weren't able to eat up in North America because of how processed things are. And here, I mean, it's fresh, it's from the farmer's market, it's, fresh from the animal, and we don't have all of the foods and preservatives that we're currently seeing in other countries. So we're seeing, a lot of people are looking at Belize from a real estate perspective. Kim, I love how you said it is, sometimes it's hard and you don't necessarily hear about opportunities until they're gone. And I'm finding more and more people are open now to looking at real estate in another country where maybe before they were a little bit more skeptical about it. The fact
Yeah.
that people are coming down, seeing it, enjoying it, loving it, and that Belize makes it so easy for foreigners is a big reason that people are just like, you know what, let's pick something up now. We have something abroad. If we want to move down to Belize, at least we have our plan B set up. If nothing else, at least it's an investment. So foreigners, like one of the big reasons people choose Belize over our neighboring country, Mexico, is because foreigners receive title. So you own the land. It's your property. You get title to it, hold on to it for as long as you want to hold on to it. In addition to that, rental income tax is really low at a 1.75%. So this is for any income that's made here in Belize, you're taxed at only 1.75%. In addition to that, property tax is really low. So Kim was mentioning the 50 by 100 parcels of land. Typically, property tax on that is going to be $100 US a year. A year doesn't matter what's built on it. You can build this real lavish home, but your property tax is going to be $100 US a year. And then in addition to that, you don't pay capital gains tax. So because Belize is becoming more popular, more eyes on Belize, more people coming here, more interest in Belize, prices are increasing, right? And I do project that prices will continue to increase over the next 15 to 20 years. So even if you come in, you just buy the land now, you hold on to it, forget about it, right? Continue on with daily life. When you go to sell that property and you make money on it, you don't pay capital gains tax here in Belize. Now in the States, you'll have to, figure that out with the accountant or your attorney. But in Belize here, you don't pay capital gains. So if you buy a property for $50,000 today, and then you sell it for $150,000 in 20 years, you pay 0% on that $100,000 gain, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing here. But that's what makes it so attractive for foreign buyers. When I worked with that real estate developer, the developer was based all throughout Central America. So I spent a lot of time in Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, picked up properties as I could in those different areas. And this is the only country where we have 0% capital gains. And it hurts, like taking that chunk out of your profit, right, to pay towards capital gains, but good problem to have, I suppose. But if you can get 0%, even better. And so we do tend to find that here in Belize. And so we're seeing that there's a variety of foreigners who are deciding to invest in property here in the country. We're seeing at this time, it's a lot of plan Bers. So people who are thinking about their next steps, they're not necessarily entirely sure that they want to live here or relocate here, but they do know that they want options. And one of the best things that we can do if we have the luxury to afford it is to have a plan B. And that's what we're seeing right now. People picking up land, picking up property. If they move here, fantastic. If not, then they'll at least land bank. And that comes into our second grouping of people who are owning here, are people who are thinking primarily from the investment perspective. We've seen how much property has increased. We can only project what it's going to look like in the next 10, 15, 20 years. But with 0% capital gains tax, with very, very low property tax, holding on to a property now and just letting it appreciate is, in a sense, a no-brainer for a lot of people. In addition to that, because we see that the increase in tourism is happening at a very steady and rapid pace, having rental property is a great way to accommodate those folks. All right. Sorry, guys, I can talk and talk and talk here sometimes, but hopefully you're enjoying the information. And then, of course, the last but not least, the group who's investing here would be the people who are snowbirds, retirees, digital nomads, where they can work from anywhere, or even just the individuals who are globally minded, thinking about where in the world they want to be spending time here in the country. And, Kim was just here. You're sure you can attest to how fun and colorful and charming Ambergris is. but there also is an environment and a vibe here that you just don't find in other Caribbean destinations. And it's alluring, right? It'll bring you into many expats here. Like you ask expats and you ask foreigners how they ended up here in Belize. It's like, well, I came on vacation and never left. Maybe they'll go home to tie up loose ends, but next thing we know, they're heading right on the plane back here. But this island, Ambergris Key, is really one just pointed out here. I don't know if you can see it from under our faces, but right over here on the right-hand side, this is where 60 to 70% of the tourism revenue for the entire country comes from this little island of Ambergris Key. So if you're looking for a property to buy and hold from that land banking methodology, I would recommend Ambergris Key because this is where you're going to see the biggest appreciation. Now, I am going to highlight one of the other areas in the Cayo district because this is a great area to invest in, and it's still very reasonable. But of course, I do think that that's going to grow over time and become more expensive. So focusing in on San Pedro, on Ambergris Key, where a majority of the tourism goes, these numbers are from the Belize Tourism Board, the BTB. Every year they put out the numbers of the estimated number of visitors to each area within the country. When we pulled the report for 2024, we can only get up to October. So I wanted to do something similar to really compare apples to apples for 20 to 23. So we only did from January through October here. But you can see the number of visitors coming to San Pedro to Ambergris Key is about 101,000, which when you look at the bottom line numbers for any other destination in the country is at least double from Cayo district. Right? It's about double for Cayo district, but everywhere else it just so far supersedes any of the other areas in the country. Now, with that being said, when we look at 2024, we can see the number of visitors to the island, to Ambergris Key at 132, will round up to 133,000 from that same period, January through October. So it's about a 30% growth in visitors from 2023 to 2024. So again, when you think investment, right, this is really investment. Of course, lifestyle could be important to you. If that's important to you, then you want to come down and see it. But if you're thinking investment and just getting your foot in the door, this is probably one of the strongest. I would say this is the strongest market to do that in. So I do have a quick pop-up before we jump into some of the fun opportunities, is who knows what animal this is? I think there should be a chat section there on your control panel. Go into the chat section of your control panel and let us know, or the Q&A, either or, we'll monitor both. Let us know what you think. Oh, someone said chat is disabled. All right, so then go to the Q&A section. There we go. Go to the Q&A section of your control panel and let us know what animal you think this is. And I just cheated. Oh man, goodness, I hope you guys didn't see that. But if you didn't see, let me go back. Here we go. Well, hopefully if somebody did, you could win. I do have a prize that I'm going to send over to whoever the winner is. It is a bottle of Marie Sharp's hot sauce, which is our absolute, you've tasted it before, Kim, which is one of our absolute favorites here on the island. It's delicious. I'm going to send this to the winner. So we'll take a look at someone saying a meerkat. I did this the other day and someone's like, I think it's a raccoon. I'm like, I could see how you think it's a raccoon, but it's not. All right, so I'll get this pulled back up here. It is a coatimundi. So we call it Cody for short, but it is indeed related to the raccoons. And this is an animal that you'll find here. Let me go back. That you'll find here mostly on the mainland within the jungle areas. But I know it looks like a mix between a raccoon and an anteater, but it's called the coatimundi. So just a heads up in case you see it. However, on the island, we do have raccoons here. So don't confuse the two because they are a little different. This one has a longer snout. As you can see, it's more like that anteater snout. All right, so let's jump into part 3 here. And then what we could do is we'll jump into the questions and answers and all of that. I'm sure we have lots of good questions to get answered for you. So let's just take a look here quickly at some of the insider deals. So these are just a very brief overview of some of the opportunities on the market today, but we do want to share them with you. And of course, if anything is of interest, let Kim know. She can get the details over to you. But I wanted to share these insider deals with you. We are going to focus on Ambergris Key because we do tend to see this as the primary market where investors are coming, where we see the biggest potential for investment. But this is the island that I refer to as like the Key West. We drive golf carts, all right? That's our primary mode of transportation. Even if you're not necessarily a water bug, we spend a lot of time by the water or on the water, right? Boating, sailing, kayaking, paddle boarding, just lounging there by the water. And then also the seafood, of course, is delicious, and a really, really strong community here. When you come down, make sure you do snorkel, Holchan, and Shark Reality, or at least visit in the boat. And then also do one of my favorite tours is called What the Food Tour. And with What the Food Tour, you get to try local hotspots around the island. The guide will take you to the local hotspots and let you try foods that you may have never heard before, like fried jacks, or you might have heard of garnaches before, but really fun Belizean food, stewed chicken, rice and beans. Those are some of the fun ones here that you'll tend to find. But this one, I would say, is one of the most affordable land options right now within that Secret Beach area. So Secret Beach is where I mentioned Blue Bayou is, where you can dine in the water. This area has multiple neighborhoods. There's a 70 by 75 lot here going for 48,000. It will need some fill. Let me just pull my screen here. Right over, it's this lot right over here. And then it's just minutes away. It's 1.25 miles from the waters, from the turquoise blue waters. So it's really, really close, convenient. This is a popular area for land banking. So people buying land, letting it appreciate, and then selling it. And then also a popular area for people who are looking to relocate and want an affordable option for them. The other one when it comes to land banking that I would recommend is within the Platinum Point subdivision. This is about 8.5 miles north of the heart of the downtown area, in the new town area where they're starting to develop a new town on the island. I would suggest holding on to this for at least 5 years. But one of the most attractive parts about this is that there's 70% financing. So the developer is willing to do a 30-year amortization. It's a 5-year term, so you have a balloon at the end of the 5th year. But your down payment would be $16,770, and your monthly payment $287.12. Now you will have a balloon payment at the end of the 5th year, and we can run those numbers for you. But it's just an easy way to get into the market here with attractive financing. The next one, it's if you're looking for something that's already completed, this is one of the most affordable options that we've found on the market. And this is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. It's within the Best Western brand. However, you can long-term rent it, or you can come and go should you decide that you want to do that. It's on the 2nd floor, a corner unit. It's currently being long-term rented now for $950 US a month. So it's an easy option for somebody who wants their property already generating rental revenue for them, and having it being taken care of, turnkey services, amenities already on site. So they have a pool, gym, tennis court, and it's just only about half a mile south of the heart of the downtown area, going for 138. If you're somebody, this is where I was yesterday, Kim, when I was sending you some pictures. So if you're somebody who's really enjoying those turquoise waters, and like you just want to wake up in the morning and look right out at them, there's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath studio with a beautiful veranda overlooking the turquoise waters. It's called Turquoise Seas. This is a completely off-grid property. The developer is putting in all solar. There's also rainwater catchment system. She's gonna have a pool. There's a beach area and a yoga platform for all of the owners to enjoy. And there are also larger units there if you want something a little bit larger. But this one's starting at $299. And then this is a great option for somebody who wants to relocate here. And you're like, that's it, Belize is for me. I can tell I'm on the next plane out there. This is a 2-bed, 2.5 bath, located in a very desirable location, just about 2 miles north of San Pedro town. 3 balconies. It comes completely furnished. There's a community pool there with a barbecue area, and it's also there's a dock. So if you want to be able to dock your boat, you're able to dock it right there on site. The water is just right behind the townhouse over here. This is going for $395. And then if you're looking for something luxury, there is a new luxury home development that's getting constructed right by the Secret Beach turnoff. These start at $999. They're 9, 3, and 4-bedroom homes. Very, I would say, exclusive because there are only 9 homes, but they're just very immaculately done and actually under construction right now. But this one will have quite a bit of amenities there on site. And then I just want to hop to the Cayo district for give you a new opportunity. It is a pre-sale. They haven't started officially advertising yet, and won't until March. But we do have the ability to tell you what's going on out there. But in the Cayo district, this is the area that we said is really the agricultural heartland, where we have Mayan ruins and rivers and jungles, fresh produce, a lot of off-grid living out here, sustainable, self-sustainable communities is what you'll tend to find here within the Cayo community. the Cayo district. And this is one of the insider communities. I was telling Kim about it. The official launch is in March of this year, but it is, I think, a really great value, lot number 21. So let me take a step back. This is the river right over here. So the Caves Branch River, which looks like the picture that you see below. And there are already roads in. There's full access to utilities if you want them. Lot number 21 at 0.76 acres, so nearly almost an acre. Plenty of land for your chickens and any animals, but this developer is willing to do 20% down, 80% financing over a 10-year term. So that gets you $3,500 down and then $181.01, $185.01 per month. And so number 36 is sold, 37 is sold, and there are a few others within this community on that riverside that are also sold. But even if you're not directly on the river, you will have river access through the accessway right over here. And the developer is planning to do a riverside park over in this area. So even if you're not on the river, you will still have access to this beautiful river that you see here in the picture below. But no HOA fees, no build timeline requirements, and it's very close to Belmopan, which is the capital of the country. So that's it. I know I've talked a little bit here. What I want to do is be quiet, and I will open the floor to any questions. Kim, if there's anything else that you want to add in, feel free to do so. Our goal is definitely to educate first and foremost. So we have a lot of complimentary e-resources that we can email over to you. You just feel free to let us know or Kim know, and we can get those your way. But with that, I'm going to be quiet now, and Kim, floor is yours.
First of all, Rachel, you are just so bomb and so thorough. And I love you for making me feel like, I don't know, I'm Tyra Banks. I'm towering over you in this image, which is not realistic, but I'll take it. I just want to applaud you for being, just so thorough and for taking this time. And for everyone on the Zoom, and we're going to put this on YouTube and stuff. This is going to be the first of many. This is like the first of a series that we're going to be doing, because this is really just kind of a very broad brush that we're using to paint a picture of the possibilities. There's so many more opportunities and areas. It's just hard to kind of needle it down. I think what I would advise is getting in touch with me and letting me know. Some of you, I sent like a questionnaire. For some people, living inland is ideal for them. Some people want to live around water. Some people aren't ready to make the jump yet, and they're just looking at it for rental properties. So this map is really great. And I'd seen this actually. Thanks for pulling it into this deck, Rachel, because this was one of the things that was really appealing to me when I was going down the deep end. Mind you, if Rachel has 50 videos, I've watched 46 of them before we met. And I love that she did this, because what will happen is often people that are working with developers, they're only going to push you to what the developer is doing. And they're not going to talk to you as thoroughly about the island. They're going to push you in one direction, which is illegal here. For those of you that don't know, I hold a broker's license in the state of New York. And not that the government's not breaking every law, but that's a whole other story. You could get your license taken away for doing things like redlining or kind of pushing, steering. And those laws don't apply in Belize, but those are definitely things that incentivize people to kind of go into one district. And although Rachel is definitely highlighting some of the relationships that she has with the developer she's working in, you can also reach out to us, and it's like, all right, I didn't really see anything that appeals, or I saw this, and it's a very small real estate community. Everybody knows each other. So it's easy to make contact and explore these other opportunities. But again, the Cortisol district that's appealing to you because you want to be closer to Mexico. If you're looking at having a larger hospital or access like that, that might be an area that's appealing to you. I'm absolutely in love with. So San Pedro is what the locals call it. Ambergris Key is the name of the island, but locals will call that whole island San Pedro. So if you hear that, it's the same place. When I went, and I still want to buy property on San Pedro, but there's entry points like she just showed that start at $17,000 that are very appealing. And Rachel, if you want to go back through to the one in around the Cayo district, what the developer is interested in doing, and correct me if I'm wrong, it says Bali residences. Now, this is raw land that you get to build out, right?
Yes.
You get to create your own thing. But these are going to be Bali style or inspired houses. So imagine you've got 5 friends, whether you want to pull in and get something larger that's 5 acres or 4 acres, and you split it up yourself and kind of create your own subdivision, or you go in and you say, well, I got this 17,000. Listen, $185 a month. What do we blow a month on $185? But my point is when you're looking at these subdivisions, think about creating community, which is why it's great to have someone like Rachel who works with developers, because they're buying a larger piece of land, they're subdividing it, and they're kind of creating these opportunities for people to go in with their family, with their friends. So in this subdivision, if you had 5 people that you love and know, you already have community, and like attracts like. So one of Rachel's other videos, she had a couple that had bought in a subdivision from Canada,
Mhm.
and they were coming in, like, I don't know, maybe the last stage of their construction.
Yep.
And Rachel was saying, within the next month, everything will be done, and I'm kind of going to do like an owner's like
Mhm.
brunch or like kind of a walkthrough, so the owners have an opportunity to meet each other. And so the couple said something like, well, we vetted you, or we really took our time, and we vetted you. And I love that Rachel said, and you know what, we're kind of also, being like aware of the other people that are coming in, because it if you're steering someone towards a retirement community that is giving us Sleepy Hollow vibes, and you're still a little bit in your like Saco era, and you want to be a little bit bubbly bop 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 bop, that might not be the right fit.
Mhm.
And although Rachel's not going to say, you know, you shouldn't buy there, that's good intel to have. So what does happen sometimes with brokers and agents is they're not talking about some of the people that are buying, and it can be a bit of a disruptor. You want to be in community with people that have similar ideas. If you don't want to hear chickens, then you might not want to be in a division where that might be kind of the common thing, and maybe you want to kind of go closer to the water or some of the other areas. So I've spoken quite a bit as well. Do you want to open it up for some Q&A? I think I saw some hands raised. Um, I don't know if it was, saying how great my skin looks or how great I'm speaking, but I'll certainly open it up for some Q&A if
Perfect.
anyone
And
has any questions.
yeah, I'm seeing some here. So, all right. So sorry, the chat's disabled. I see that. So sorry about that. We'll have to get that working for the next one here. And someone is asking about the weather. What is prevalence of hurricanes in the Keys area? So let me go back to the map over here. So great question. So typically we are in a very tropical climate here, right? So year round, you expect the tropics. However, we can get down to the low 60s in December. December, January, a little bit of wind, a little bit of rain. We can get down to the low 60s. However, most of the time on ambergris, we're at about 82 to 83 degrees year round. Humidity will be higher during the summer months, but typically temperature wise, that's about right. Now, when you're on the mainland, depending where on the mainland you can have bigger swings of temperatures, but just expect that tropical sort of environment. We have had hurricanes. Let me go back to the map of the entire country. We have had hurricanes before. We're certainly not completely out of the hurricane belt, but we are not necessarily in the path where we get frequent hurricanes. So Cuba, Dominican Republic, the Gulf of Mexico, Cancun, Merida, this area, they tend to get hit with storms a lot more often than we do. We did have a scare of a hurricane category 1 back in July 4th last year. And so the town does take it very seriously, because we have been through hurricanes in 1998, 2000. There were a couple of 4s and 5s that came through. And so they do take it very seriously. So things get boarded up. If you want to leave, you can leave the island. If you want to go somewhere else, you're certainly able to do that. But stores will close down. They're going to make sure their workers are taking care of what they need to take care of for their family and loved ones. But what you'll tend to find is that properties, especially on the Keys, will be built or should be built to hurricane category standards, at least ones that we're tending to see a lot of the folks are purchasing. Now you'll see plywood homes, you'll see zinc homes. However, if you're purchasing real estate here, I definitely recommend you're looking for one that's a concrete build. one that can withstand, category 4 storms. We have hurricane shutters. The highest storm surge that we've seen on Ambergris has been about 3 feet. And a lot of, it's not big at all, but about 3 feet. So you will see homes are elevated about 3 feet or higher just to prevent anything. But knock wood, we really haven't had a big one since 2000.
Quick question, Rachel, because I
Mhm.
know, yes, that's a main concern of folks
Yep.
is weather. Does the barrier reef, which is the world's largest living barrier
Yep.
reef, right? People assume
Yep.
Australia. Does that also help with hurricanes? Like, does it make it a little bit more challenging for hurricanes to like kind of get the dust up and
Oh,
get super
entirely.
coastal? Yeah.
Entirely. Yeah, the reef is really what prevents us from getting those big swells and getting those storm surges that they see in places like Florida. So with the highest storm surge being only 3 feet, it is entirely because of the barrier reef. And so when you look at, I mean, it's really incredible during a storm. If you ever look out in the distance, you can see the reef. Right behind the reef, you just see waves crashing, 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 and then the reef stops it. Right. So out there, it's 200, 300, 400 feet depth of water. You come into the reef and you're at a foot to 15 feet deep, and it's just it's calm. Right. So you have the waves breaking, and then you just have calmer waters in between. So we really don't get the same sort of surges that places that are further from the reef would get, because we're really protected. I mean, it is such a beautiful, the reef is a really beautiful part of the country here, and preservation of the reef is one of the biggest aspects that many different departments and individuals and guides are trying to protect here.
Which is one of the reasons why there's no yacht culture along the Keys. The
Correct.
yachts can't. They would could possibly disrupt or disturb the reef. And like Rachel said, the country is really really serious about preservation.
Hmm.
Um, and that's with the ruins. That's with the reef, the jungle. It that like that's not up for debate. Where that gets like
Hmm.
parceled out for fun. They're really about that life of preservation, which is, I think, like Rachel said, it's done so well in these uncertain times where
Yeah.
we should all be concerned with global warming and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So,
Yeah, and if
okay.
you come down, wear reef-friendly sunscreen. That's one of the biggest and easiest things that we ask
Yes.
people to do, is bring that reef-friendly sunscreen when you come down, so that you're helping little things make a big difference, right?
I just heard that. So, commercial sunscreens can disrupt the reef. So, there's a
Mhm.
very specific kind of sunscreen. Good to
Yep.
know. So, just a
Yep.
little tip.
Amazon it before you come on down, or even before you go to any beaches, really, right? As if you're planning to get into the water, wear something that is not necessarily too chemically or going to go off into the marine life there. Hmm.
Wow.
Yes, and so I see the next question here: is there beach land available? Oh, yes, there certainly is beach land available. Along the coast, as a foreigner, you're able to own beach land as well, so you get title to the property, and then just depends where in the country it is with in regards to pricing. But oh yes, you can own beach land. Now, do note though that the first 66 feet of any coast is called Queensland. It's public land. It's open to everybody. It's not private, right? You go to California sometimes, and there's like, fences and gates along beaches, and you can't walk down the beach. Here in Belize, the first 66 feet of every coast is considered Queensland, so that you always have access to the beach. Now, it doesn't mean people can go through your beachfront property to get to the beach. There will be access points, easements that people can go through, but nobody owns the beach. So you can be right up to the beach, right? But you don't own that beach land. So yeah, very good question there. So I'm seeing, what time do things open and close? Good question. So Ambergris Key is really, the hub of tourism, the hub of events and things happening. So you tend to find that on Ambergris Key, places are open longer. I mean, it's still, you can find places to get a coffee at 4:30 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and then you can go to the nightclub until 4 in the morning. Right. So you do have that big spectrum. Typically grocery stores will close around 9. However, there are multiple that are going to be open until midnight. Once you go into the mainland, it's a lot quieter because it's not necessarily as touristic. So it wouldn't be uncommon for your grocery store to close at 7 and not be open on Sundays. So it just depends where in the country you are. Is there nightlife? Yes, more so on Ambergris Key than other parts of the country. We just had some clients earlier this morning. We were talking about Placencia. That's like we're saying is the Hamptons of the country, and Placencia is a very quiet fishing village as well. So you go to the bars there around 9, 10 o'clock and it's quiet. So if you're looking for something a little bit more lively, then Ambergris Key is the right place.
What about Peacocker? Isn't that also kind of like a little bit bar friendly and kind of?
Oh, entirely. Yeah, entirely. I would say so. It's like the smaller version of Ambergris Key. Mm. Yeah, it's like the smaller version of Ambergris Key. It's fun. It's like what Ambergris Key was 20 years ago. It's a fun little spot. I'm seeing on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the most, what would you say the stress level of the local communities in most populated areas? 1.5 to 2. I mean, it's a very, the thing about Belize, you have to remember Belize is a developing country. Average minimum wage here is $2.50. Most people live day to day, but they don't necessarily have the same sort of stressors that we have in the States, right? You don't have all of those crazy bills, and it's still expensive to live, right? Living is just expensive generally, but people don't necessarily have the same sort of stressors. So I would say I'm 1.5 to 2 probably would be my guess, but of course it depends on someone's personal circumstance. And then, are there a lot of children? And if so, what age group would you say make up a majority of the children? Yes, a lot of children here in Belize, and we do have a handful of schools, public schools, private schools that are catering to the children. Here, they're mandated to stay in school until fourth form, which is about 14 years old. And then after that, they can continue on with the higher education. And then there are universities here too. I'd say what makes the majority of the children, it really is a range. So for the kids that have the opportunity to, they may go to the States to study, maybe not so much anymore, but they may be going outside of the country for some additional education and then coming back. But you're going to find kids of all age ranges here. And then what area would you recommend for those looking to be alongside families with children ages 10 and up? I would say Ambergris Key. It's where you tend to find the biggest population of foreigners. So you have very good schools out here. And then in addition to that, there's a great local community as well. Something that was important for us was to make sure that our son was not just integrating with all the expat kids. We wanted him to be able to go to preschool or be able to go to school with the local community. And so you do tend to find you have options here on the island. What opportunities are there for locals to progress? A great question. So there are a lot of vocational and training programs. There was just a school here for chefs. So they were teaching a cooking school. So they were teaching some folks who are interested in bettering their cooking skills to attend the chef school. And that was fun. That was back in December. The first graduating class had a meal prepared. And so we got tickets to their meal and they served us the appetizer and the dinner and the dessert. But a lot of vocational programs like that, or just training programs overall, because Belize tends to be it's like the service and agricultural industry are the two biggest industries here. So anything pertaining to those industries, you're going to tend to find more vocational, more programs with training in regard to those categories. Great questions there. I'm glad that you asked those, Olivia. Very important. And then we're seeing a couple of questions here about construction. Is construction reliable if you want to build there? And the construction time constraints? Yeah, so like anywhere in the world, construction depends entirely on the contractor. There are good contractors and there are bad contractors. My dad worked in construction, commercial construction in New York City. And, some of the time delays that I would hear on some of those projects, he goes, yeah, we're about 7 years behind. Like, whoa, okay, it's for the NYU hospital. They were, a little behind on that hospital. But regardless, there's, it's going to happen anywhere in the world. So the best thing that you can do is talk to the different contractors, see the different properties that they've built, talk to the owners, right? Talk to the people who've hired them to get their experience on how it went. And most good contractors will have no problem introducing you to their past clients. So I would always suggest, though, that regardless of where you build, you always put in some sort of extra cushion, right? Because typically they're going to give you one quote, but we know at construction anywhere in the world, it's going to be more. Typically, it's always more, right? I never really hear about people saying, oh, it was less than they quoted me for. So it just comes to buying materials and costs going up and labor and all of that, right? You just need to bear in mind just a little bit extra figures. But yeah, of course, you're going to have contractors that don't fulfill their obligations, but there are many, many good ones here that do.
Can I just piggyback on that?
Mhm.
One of the things that I found with folks that I was talking to who were in different phases of construction throughout the region was they paid in phases. So
Yes,
you
entirely.
put down if the number is 50,000, which would be amazing. Then you break it down into 4 payments. If it's going to take
Yeah.
4 phases, then you break it out and they get paid upon completion. Another thing that I've seen, and people do that in the States, is they put in a camera system because you've got to have somebody that's your plug. You've got to have somebody that's checking in on the property. I'll give you a perfect example. So I have a 14-year-old about to be 15 who is in the middle of his freshman year of high school. I am projecting that if I buy raw land, that I will have something built by the time he graduates. Now it's a lot of time. That's 3.5 years. But
Mhm.
I don't want the pressure. And so, and again, I might buy something that already has an existing house on it. We're
Mhm.
not exactly sure yet, but it's important to have somebody that can check in, which is great to have someone like Rachel because she's working with these developers and they have a whole crew of folks that are making sure those boxes get checked. You pay in phases and you get a camera system.
Mhm.
And you have to kind of be I spy a little bit. And I recommend that to people in the States too, because delays and contractors stopping mid-project far too common. So you just really have to do your due diligence. But my recommendation is you pay in phases. And if there's a contractor that's not comfortable with that, then there's other fish in the sea. Wink,
Yep.
wink. Got it? Other fish in the sea,
I
Belize.
get
Oh,
it.
sorry.
Yeah, that's good. I got it. I caught it. I hope everyone
You can pick up what I threw down. Okay.
did. No, but and that's exactly right. The stage payments based on construction milestones, right? So once the foundation is in, once the walls are up, once the ceiling is in, right? So those are all very important things. And I know some people, if you're living here, right, some people what they'll do is they'll go buy the materials, but that's a whole different, I mean, that's a whole different involvement. But I would say that the camera one's a very good suggestion, Kim. Very, very good. So you're able to
Yeah.
monitor it. Mhm.
And also, correct me if I'm wrong, the Mennonites who are up in like the mainland,
Yep,
right?
Spanish lookout.
Spanish Lookout. And you do your research on that, and next time we can do some. We'll incorporate some of these little snippets of that of different things. But construction costs might be lower on
Mhm.
the mainland.
Yes.
If you're on one of the islands, you got to consider that somebody's getting on a boat, right? In some instances, I think that there's resources on the islands. I'll say though, we spent our all of our time when I was out there this last time on Ambergris Key, San Pedro, and I took videos of trucks going north, which is the path to progress,
Mhm.
right? So it's if you
Mhm.
think of the island and you think of San Pedro, where you're gonna land, that's where the airport is, on Ambergris Keys, which is San Pedro. Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to a map here, and I think I'm going a little too far. Yes, I don't
Yeah.
have the usual map in, but yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. On the north side of the island, that's where you're going to see, like up here, it's where you're going to see more, a lot of construction happening on that north side of the island.
Can you pull that out a bit? Or didn't you have a slide where?
I can stop the sharing and then I can pull up. I do have another one. I should have put it in. I apologize, folks,
No,
but
no,
I
no, it's okay. It's
can get
okay.
it
Just to
pulled up.
take a beat so folks can, as she's pulling that up,
Here, I'll do this.
because the island is specifically San Pedro is where a lot of the growth is happening, and you're definitely going to make great money, and it's beautiful, and there's tons of stuff to do, and it absolutely is called the path to progress for a reason. So if you think about when you're landing in San Pedro in the airport, south it's kind of like the barometer, right? So south of that is where some of the things that you're going to hear, and I'm just going to say it because you're going to hear it, like Mahogany Bay, or
Mhm.
there's a southern part to the island, but the majority of the movement is pushing north, and there's this little bridge, right, that kind of separates Am I right? North from south.
Yep.
So,
And to pull
so
up
when
this
people
one.
see, when you see something that'll say like mile 5 or mile 8, the starting point, if I'm not mistaken,
Yep,
is
the
is
bridge.
it the bridge,
Yep,
right?
yep.
So we were looking north of the bridge. I guess Secret Beach is what, like mile 5?
Yeah, about so it's at about mile 4, and then it's another 3 miles to get there from the turnoff.
Heading
So
west, right?
yes, exactly. So this is all the secret beach area right over here. This is the bridge that you were just referring to is right over here. You can see the channel,
Okay.
San Pedro town. So the bridge, you go up in the northward direction and then you go left, and this is all secret beach. This land has been surveyed, and this land has also been surveyed and subdivided. So we're going to see a couple of new neighborhoods pop up there within Secret Beach, but this is the road to go out there, and then you're continuing up in that northward direction, right? Matachica is right over here, 5.5 miles north. And then this is all that Newtown area that we were talking about as being in the path of progress. Mile 8 to 10 is where we see the next new town coming. So for somebody who's looking to be in the path of progress, I think this is one of the best areas that you can be in. This is a government-led push to this area to because people just don't have anywhere else to go. You look at town and it's all congested, it's all built out, it's getting expensive to just get a plot of land there. So for folks that are looking for something more affordable, right? They gave land lease. So here in Belize, it's pretty amazing. They'll lease land to locals rather, sorry, not foreigners, don't get excited. The locals can get leased land, and then if they ever want to convert it to a title, they can for a few $1,000s Belize. So it's a Belizean's right to own land in their country. And so the government has programs where they'll be releasing new parcels, you apply, you get the land, and then eventually you can convert it to a title property should the local decide to do that. So that's what they started to do in this area north up here, where locals are given land. And now we're seeing about 4 or 5 dozen homes start to pop up in this area. And so we're seeing a big growth, big movement here of people because there's just nowhere else to go in town. Now, it's not going to happen overnight. This is, I would say, 5, 10, 15 years to really see this become the next town, the new town, as it's being referred to. But we still have a little bit more time. But for us, if you're an investor, you have a little bit of time to wait. This is a great spot to be.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's the area, if there is an area right now that we're looking at, it is heading north on the path of
Yep.
progress. There's hotels, there's a Margaritaville that's way, way, way up.
Uh-huh.
And you don't have to go quite that far up, but there are definitely deals. But I bring this up because there were trucks every 5 minutes. So mind you, some roads are paved, some roads are dirt roads. This is the island where you're on a golf cart. And ladies, just if you come, bring a support bra because it is definitely ticky tacky. Okay, so I was. You'll thank me later, and it's fun, right? It's definitely local. It's a vibe, but you do have to start thinking, 5, 10 years out, and that is so all of these trucks were going up and coming back down. So they were going up with fill to level off the land. I'll be sharing on social media. Maybe the next one we do, Rachel, I'll do all these crazy videos that I took of the construction. But as the head, right? Because I bought in South Central, and then it popped. I bought in Newark in 2019. My house has doubled. I be knowing y'all. You can play if you want to, but I be knowing, and I'm telling you, you want to go where you see the movement, but you want to get there as it's moving. Like you want to jump on a truck and move with the truck. You don't want the truck to then become a town car, right? They paved it all and it's all shiny and bubbly bop bop, and you haven't done anything yet. So just thank you for pulling that out because that is definitely an area that is growing. There's opportunity there. And if you're not in a rush and you just want to get something that's affordable and forget about it, that is definitely a contender, and a place to think about.
Yep. No,
And you're on the water. Rachel, really quickly too. So where this is right here, that's the lagoon side, right?
so on the
There's a
east
lagoon
side,
side.
yeah, east side over here, this will be the Caribbean side. So you can see where the white waves are. That's the reef. And then the lagoon, there's a lagoon right here called Kyle Francis Lagoon. And then on the the west side of the island, this is all the Bay of Chetumal. So you can see the white waves on the right-hand side. That's all the reef, all the Caribbean.
Like you can't, you're sandwiched by these deep, deep, deep blue lagoon waters that are a bit calmer and it's all calm. And then you've got like this icy ocean, beautiful side. It's it's just phenomenal. Like it truly is paradise. It really, really is. Like so yeah, thank you for pulling that out. That's what's very interesting about that island life. It's a 15-minute flight. They have these, and God bless everybody that's been dealing with the aviation issues and their families. It is a 15-minute flight from Belize City. So you would fly in from any of your direct flights or your 2-hour flight from Houston, your hour-and-a-half flight from Miami. You go to Belize City, you can either stay on the mainland or you can hop on a 15-minute flight. I got to be the co-pilot. I'm going to share that video because it's a hoot.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you get over to Key Cocker or actually you would fly over to Ambergris Key to San Pedro.
Yeah,
You
so
could also take a boat too, right? If you
you
needed
take a
to.
boat. Yeah, it's about an hour and 45 minutes, an hour and a half on boat from Belize City to Ambergris Key. And
Yeah.
you'll stop in the middle at Key Cocker, or you can take the plane. The plane's easy, 15 minutes from Belize City International Airport. You don't have to leave the airport. You just hop onto the next plane and then voila, you're there.
Yeah. And also keep in mind, folks, if need be, you can drive to Belize from the United States because the mainland is landlocked with Mexico. So you can drive through Mexico and you can be in Belize.
Let me zoom out a little bit.
And if you need to, you know what I mean? If you're scared of flying, you can drive up in there. It might take you a couple days, but what a journey, right? Back to
So
question. Sorry.
here's Belize. And people do, I mean, people do go through Mexico. Yep.
Look at that.
Yep.
Go right on through. Yeah, it is Central America. So it's pretty amazing.
It is. It is. I see a couple more questions here. Let me get those popped up. So, do you have relationships with people that provide loans for construction? Oh, financing. This is a great question. So,
Yeah,
traditional bank financing is not available for foreigners in Belize. So, if you're coming into Belize, Belize tends to be a cash market or it will be seller or developer financing. Now, there are about 20 to 25% of the properties that will offer some sort of financing. Otherwise, the seller is going to want cash. So with that being said, though, there is one international bank. There's one international bank here in Belize that will finance on finished properties and they will do construction loans. So they will not do a pre-construction property. They will also not finance on land. So with that being said, though, they're a bit trickier to navigate through. They are going to require that you open up a bank account with them. The bank account has a maintenance fee of $20 US a month. In addition to that, in order to get a loan with them, you do need to get a loan there'll be a loan origination fee of about 2.3%. And then the terms are going to be 50% financing, 50%, 10-year term, 11% interest, 10-year term, 11% interest. So again, that's only for a finished property up to 50%, 50%. And that could be a construction loan, but you are going to have to provide a BQE, a lot of different items for them to be able to approve, and they'd only approve 50% of it, and you have to own the land. So if you're financing the land, that's not going to work. You have to own the land in order for them to loan on it, to loan for construction.
Which is why those phases are great, because some um, developers, you have 2 years to complete your construction because they don't want their division to be half done and your people kind of walk away. So that's something to think about. And Rachel will make sure that we know what those terms are. But if you're land banking, like I'm saying, you could take 4 or 5 years. I mean, there are people, and listen, like the Mennonites, their houses, especially like the Airbnb, and I can pull them up, that literally are, I don't know, 400 or 500 square feet. They're 1 bedroom or studio that people use for Airbnb. Those are $8,000. They start at like $8 grand. And what they do is they build them. That's why if you do it on the mainland, it's that's going to be the price. It might be a little more expensive if you pull one out to the islands, but people do it. There are people who have Airbnb villages that are killing it, that have 4 of those little 800 square foot houses that are $8,000, and then it goes up. Those are pretty much made out of wood though, which is a really, really, really strong wood, and they put it on stilts
Yeah.
from 3 to 8 feet. So, oh, perfect. There you go.
Yeah. So here's an example. This is the one of a good one called Linda Vista. And so these are in Belize dollars. So a basic finish would be about 24,000, upgraded finish about 20,000 US for a 16 by 16. But do note that you need to add the foundation, the cistern, and then also connect up to electricity or solar. So it is going to cost a bit more than just the number that you see here plus transportation fees. But it's it's affordable, especially compared to some of the other options. Yeah, you can see
Yeah.
that here. Mm-hmm.
And listen, I definitely would be interested, especially if I was on any of the islands with concrete. But these houses have been standing for a long time in wood. So it just depends. Some people are like, absolutely not. And then there's some people like, for me, I kind of wing it. I'd be like, well, these are people who have been doing this for hundreds and hundreds of years. And I would be, if I were on the mainland, me personally, I would do it. I'm not super risk averse, because if something is coming, you have some time, you get your behind up into Mexico or somewhere else, the part of the mainland where you can kind of
Yep.
shelter. But that's just me. But
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity. And that's how I look at it. And that's how I think it's important for everyone to look at it, is there's a lot of opportunity here, just depending on what you want to accomplish and how soon you want to accomplish it. There are certain areas that are certainly better than others for appreciation. There are some, that are going to be higher entry, but you're going to be getting cash flow now. But it really just comes back to what you as an individual want. Now, sometimes if you see something that sounds too good to be true, just ask why. Why is it priced like this, or why do the numbers seem so good? But you will find those bullseyes every now and again. And that's why the one that I think, the Bali residences that we talked about, so I've known that developer for a long time, since being here in Belize, and he's done successful projects at Secret Beach before. And this one I think is just a winner with the location, the size.
yeah.
I mean, the size of those parcels, and then financing, because he, as a developer, he's not in a rush to get the money back. He's done well with his other projects. He likes having finance payments, because think it's like, his retirement, right? Or for lack of better word, it's his pension that's coming in, right? So he likes that. And there are not many sellers that are willing to do a longer term like that. So
And when you're financing, you could start building immediately. You won't get
yeah,
title until it's paid off. It's just like
correct.
a car. You can roll out the lot, you can paint it, you can put a stereo system in it.
Yep.
The bank owns it until you pay it off. So it's no different than financing a house or when you're financing the land. But you could start building on it or doing what you wanted on it
Yep.
immediately.
Yep.
You know?
Or not, right? Or hold
Or
on to
not.
it and save some money and just get the land now, because we do know that prices are going up. We've only seen them continue to go up. So own it now while you can, and then figure out what you want to do with it afterwards.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any more questions, or want to put a pin in it? Because certainly folks can, email me. We'll give you all of our information and kind of next steps, and keep in touch. We'll record this
Yep.
and put it up somewhere, but this is our first of many.
This is perfect. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Kim, for getting this and hosting this. This was fantastic. A lot of good information shared, but we'll record it and then have it up afterwards for people to re-listen to if they want to.
Yes, and let's just say, because this will probably go up on YouTube, so any questions, kimpossibleliving@gmail, and you can reach Rachel.
info@lunarealtybelize.com. I'll put both emails in the description link as well when it's up on YouTube as well, for anyone who wants to hear that. But in the meantime, guys, well, we look forward to seeing you here in Belize and showing you paradise. And in the
Yes.
meantime, have a very fantastic Saturday.
Yay, thanks for joining, all my people. I love you guys. Mwah. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Rachel. See you
Thank you,
soon.
Kim. Bye, guys.
Bye.